Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking in. Thank you for your likes, overwhelming comments and support. Thank you guys for always coming back to check on AM Carol all the time. Your comments, your messages are all appreciated, like all the time. Lazy Gang members, I love you to the moon. Moon and back. New subscribers, you are welcome. You are at home. Feel at home. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's a free world here, okay? We analyze, we criticize, we agree, we disagree. We also learn from these videos that we are talking about here, okay? But if you always watch my videos and you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe, okay? Hit on the notification bell so that every time I upload a new video, you'll be the first one to be notified. So guys, I got a few messages on these streets. Actually on my, not on my comment section, I think on my inbox, I got some messages, people asking me about some stuff that has been happening also on the streets of YouTube. And some of the people, maybe 2 or 3 people, asked me to explain something that I want to explain right now. This issue I want to explain came about when people watched Malika Kenya. I know most of our gang members are watching Malika Kenya. There's this member who asked me before in my inbox, and I explained, like I tried to explain everything to her, but she could not really understand. So I've gotten another message again and again and again, and I was like, maybe let me share it this way. Maybe in this way, maybe you might understand, because me too, I don't really understand like 100% why these people are living in caves. This video that Malika did going to visit the people in the caves, and I think I also saw the other day Black Beauty was talking about it, and this thing was really raising an alarm, like on the international platforms. What is happening in Kenya? Why are people living in caves? People live in caves here in Kenya, actually, not just in Mount Elgon. It said that this particular one that Malika went to visit, they were in Bungoma County. I am in Bungoma County, but I live in Bungoma town itself. That's the headquarters of Bungoma County. But Bungoma County is so huge, and there's so many controversies that surrounds this our county. Okay, so this is one of the issues that come out here, and usually on the news, on the national news, you can't miss to get Bungoma on the headlines. Every time you switch on the news, like in our national televisions, Bungoma is always leading with a lot of issues happening in this town. So it means that it's a huge county, so many things are happening here. And also, Bungoma is the one that is feeding like almost the whole of Western Kenya, as in whole, because Bungoma is also an agricultural county. Okay, so people are living in the caves, and I will share with you a few clips to know maybe exactly what is happening here. People are also living in caves in Nakuru County. Is it? Yeah, somewhere in Nakuru, Naivasha, somewhere there. I came across on the YouTube, they were also talking about this issue, people living in somewhere near Nakuru. And it's the same problem that is facing these other people that are living in Bungoma. That's the same reason why even in Nakuru, people are living in caves. Now, I want you guys to listen to this clip before we proceed.
The families were rendered homeless and pushed to leave. Welcome back. You're watching NTV Nights. Now, dozens of families from Kipsori, Mount Elgon, including over 100 children, are now pleading for assistance after being ordered to leave the caves where they have been living for the past 3 years. The families were rendered homeless and pushed to live in the caves after they missed out on the Chepiuk resettlement process by successive governments. The IDPs have no access to clean water or sanitation, let alone proper shelter from the elements of security. Rose Wangoi has the details.
More than 300 families are currently living in a cave on the foot of Mount Elgon, the only home they have known for the last 3 years, after they were forcibly evicted from the forest on grounds that they posed a serious environmental threat to one of the country's largest water towers. The cave that doubles as a living and cooking space has been partitioned using dry maize stalks to accommodate the families.
Wakati wowote mnaona hii bango vile iko, inaweza kuanguka wakati wote kwa sababu ya hii leakage.
Tuko na baridi hapa, tuko na pneumonia, tuko na njaa. Hatuna namna kabisa.
Kuna vijana ni wakwe wameoana hapa, so ni vigumu vile wanaweza kuishi na hao wamama wakwe. Ni lazima wawe mbali na kwa ajili ya mkusanyiko.
Kenya established Chebiuk settlement scheme in 1971 to settle the Sabaot had been pushed out of their ancestral land by the British colonial government. The government began assisting landless families to farm inside Mount Elgon forest through the Shamba system. Attempts to resettle the families have been made, but some families have been left out of the Chebiuk Phase 3 resettlement scheme. According to government records, there were 7,330 people eligible for 2.5 acres each, but Chebiuk in Mount Eldon could only accommodate 1,732 people. Trans Nzoia County received 265 relocations, but more than 5,000 people were never resettled and were left landless.
Walikosa kulipa 50,000 kwenda juu mpaka 100. Ndiposa wale walioingia kwa ballot ni wale walikuwa wametoa pesa zao. Bas, hapo tukapoteza makao.
Out of the people who are to be compensated, wale watu wa hii bango walikuwa part of them, lakini hawakuwekwa kwa hiyo list.
Tulikuanga na makao na watu wengine wako kwa hiyo makao yetu, na sisi tunataabika. Hata mimi nikilia hapa naona mtu kwa shamba yangu hapo, na mimi nateseka hapa. Inaumia nikikumbuka hiyo. Sasa nishika kamba nijinyonge tu, nisione hata mtu kama analima shamba yangu.
In the middle of the cave, close to the fireplace, is a room housing 10 elderly women who are cared for by other women in the community. The cave also has an area designated for young children, which also doubles as their sleeping and study quarters. Currently, 22 children have been born in the cave.
Kunaye mosquitoes ambaye hao watoto na wenye wanalala ndani ya hii banga hawezi kulala usiku.
Na shule tena baada wanafukuza mtoto, na mimi mwenyewe sina pesa. Yenye umepata hata shilingi 50, 200, upeleke hiyo shule, mtoto anarudishwa tena hapa. Inatakana upeleke mtoto pesa shule na una.
The IDPs claim the landowner where the cave is located has issued them with a notice to vacate by December 31st to allow her utilize it for other purposes.
Hakuna vile tutaweza kufanya. Tutakuwa kwa shida ajabu kwa sababu hatuna mahali ya kuweza kwenda tena. So tunaomba tutoleo hapa, tupewe makao. Sisi hatuendi ng'ambo ile. Ng'ambo ile ni miti.
Hata ukileta chakula hapa, hawajasaidia sisi. Watutoe sisi nao watuweke kwa makao.
The families who say they voted overwhelmingly for the government of the day now want President William Ruto to address their plight and end their suffering. Rozongoi, NTV.
So guys, we have seen what is happening in the caves. It's not an easy issue the way we are looking at it. And even the lady in the video said that even if you bring food for us, it won't help us. The only thing that we need is to get our land back. It's a big issue. It's happening in Turkana County. It's also happening in Bungoma County. It's happening in Nakuru County. People are living in forests. People are living in cages because of them missing the land settlement. It's happening also, I think, in Limuru, somewhere in central Kenya. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard of these things, but I usually don't, take them seriously because maybe it has never happened to me or something. But it's so sad. At 2023, this kind of thing is still happening. Governments have been coming in and going, presidents have been coming in and leaving the seat without settling these people, without giving them the lands that they're supposed to be given. And this has caused a lot of chaos here in Kenya, actually. There's been some chaotic, they protest, they've been protesting in different ways, but every time they come out to protest, the government will just shut them down. They call them IDPs, internally displaced persons. That's what they call them. Maybe it's a way of marginalizing them. They don't have a voice, and it's so sad that this is happening in 2023, but what can we do, guys? This is Africa. This is Kenya. So it is what it is. I wanted to read for you also old article that was done in 2022. I think that is last year. Maybe you can also understand a few stuff from there, because it's so hard for me to explain this issue. It has become even a political issue, actually. I just want to read for you this, and maybe you can understand. 375 families are currently living in a cave on the foot of Mount Elgon, the only home they have known for the last 3 years after they were forcibly evicted from the forest land on grounds that they posed a serious environmental threat to one of the country's largest water towers. Most of them have resigned to their fate and feel there is little to celebrate for this festive season. This was done last year during Christmas time, yeah, like almost at the Christmas time. So these people, this article came out with this story. They are talking about them, okay? When the Nation visited, Nation is a newspaper here in Kenya. It's called Nation newspaper, okay? So when the Nation visited the internally displaced person, IDPs, at Chebwai Cave, an area you can only get to after a 4-hour long grueling ascent up Mount Elgon, they burst into prayers and tears, only too eager to narrate their ordeals. There is nothing for us to celebrate when we are faced with an uncertain future in what should be our ancestral home. It seems nobody will come to our rescue, said Jacob Chemtai, the chairman of IDP families living in the caves. They were rendered homeless and pushed to live in caves after they missed out on Chepuk resettlement process by successive governments. Kenya established Chepuk settlement scheme in 1971 to settle the Sabaot who had been pushed out of the ancestral land by the British colonial government. Can we now get where this whole problem came from? British colonial government, they pushed them away from their real homes. And then the government from that time, 1971, the government started, promising them that, listen, you are out, it's okay, we will resettle you. We will resettle you. You understand? So this thing started happening from that time. Imagine Kenya established this settlement scheme in 1971. Since that time, there are still people who are living in caves because they did not get their land back. And these people, every day, each and every day, the numbers are growing because they're giving back to each other. Anyway, let me continue reading to you. Apart from the Sabaot, who form the majority of people occupying Mount Elgon, other inhabitants of the mountainous area include Ndorobo, Mosopisiek, Mok, Somik, and Koni, all members of the larger Kalenjin community. The government established Chepuk Phase 1971 to 1994, and later Chepuk Phase 2 in 1989 to accommodate more families. But despite allocation of additional parcels of land, a bargaining population, clan factors, skewed allocation, and corruption remain a major challenge, forcing the government to set up Chepuk Phase 3 in Emia in 2011 to settle 1,732 families. Are you really getting what I'm saying, guys? Land matters remain a motive in Mount Elgon, and the skewed allocation of Chepuk Phase 3 has only made it worse. Protests and armed conflict pit the dominant Soy and Mosop ethnic communities over the matter. This cave is our home after we were kicked out of the forest and after missing out in the 3 settlement schemes. Now, let me stop from there and then I will continue reading to you. These people keep on missing to get their settlement scheme, the piece of land from those settlement scheme. But this all is caused by corrupt government officials that are involved in this thing. Now, according to what someone else said in that video, someone said that they come in the caves and they tell these people to be giving them around 50,000 shillings and above. You can calculate that in your own money, maybe in the US dollars, Canadian dollar, euros, pounds, I don't know. 50,000 Kenyan shillings and above. They tell these people to register so that they will give them the pieces of land when this land is ready. Remember, this land is free from the government. But what are these government officials doing? They are getting bribes from these very people who are suffering in the caves. How will someone from this cave earn this kind of money to give to them so that they can get the money? So the people who could get that money, those were the people that were settled. But these ones that are left in the caves, they don't have that money. So let's continue reading this. The cave is one of many salt licks visited by elephants that roam the mountain. It is home to many wildlife species. These people are in danger, like seriously. As you enter the cave, you are greeted by emaciated faces of children and elderly persons, some having gone days without food. As people of the cave, we are faced with countless challenges ranging from poor sanitation to acute malnutrition and outbreak of diseases, said Rispa, who is a 68-year-old who lost her husband in a land conflict. Land conflict, it means when these people are tired, they go protesting, they go start fighting and those kind of things. Now, some of them are killed during that time. A few meters from the entrance of the cave is a makeshift toilet that serves the entire population. Yet, less than 100 meters down in a stream, they get their water for drinking and other domestic use. The cave that doubles as a living and a cooking space has been partitioned using dry maize stalks to accommodate the families. To the east is a room that accommodates male elderly persons who are too fragile to fend for themselves. It can only accommodate 20 elderly persons. In the middle of the cave, close to the fireplace, is a room housing 10 elderly women who are cared for by other women in the community. The cave also has an area designated for young children, which also doubles as their sleeping and study quarters. Food is hard to get there. These elderly and children can go for days without a meal. One of the women, who is also the community midwife, said so. Some 50 meters away is another cave that accommodates young men. It also doubles up as the community church. This cave is served as our church since we have nowhere else to worship after we have moved from the forest, said Pastor Alex Kimtai, who also offers counseling services to the families. Guys, it's just a long story, a very long story. Maybe I should leave this link in my description so that you can go in and read it for yourself. I think that's the best way to do. When you guys will see Malika doing all these things, helping these people in the cages, she's been there, I think, maybe more than 3 times. She's been like going back. It's a huge thing. It's not something that you just come once and solve their problem and it's gone. These people need a lot. Remember, we've been told that they're elderly people. They have their space there. The elderly women, they have their space there and they're being taken care of by other women in those caves. Then there are children's quarters. It's just, actually, I'm shocked. I'm shocked to learn all this. You know, when people were asking me, I couldn't even understand what they were talking about. Like, honestly, I feel so lucky to be where I am and to have what I have. You know, knowing that someone else is going through this is so saddening. What I can only tell you guys is to go and continue helping Malika because she's close to them. Guys, I know I am in Bungoma, but I'm not close to Mount Elgon. Mount Elgon is in a different town. Yes, it is Bungoma County, but it's a different town from where I am. But if Malika has reached there and she has seen everything that is happening on the ground and she's been helping them and, and everything, I only support her. I think this is the best way. Forget about Antarctica. Guys, forget about, I don't know, GoFundMe, what. I know there are marvelous people who are on this channel listening to me. Guys, let me tell you, forget about Antarctica and all those GoFundMe stuff that these people are talking about on these streets. We have issues also here on the streets that can be addressed. Okay? If you can reach out to Malika, Kenya, guys, support her because this issue is a life-saving issue. Let me continue maybe reading so that we can understand it better. According to the IDPs, the internally displaced peoples, it is land-related issues such as this which spark conflict and led to uprisings such as dreaded Sabaot Land Defense Forces, SLDF. Guys, there was a time I heard about this Sabaot Land Forces Defense. There was a terrorist group that came up in those areas. When was this? This should be 2005. Yeah, 2004, 2005 to 2006, around there. There was this terrorist group that came up in that place. And I remember our president by then was Mr. Mwai Kibaki. And it was terrible. These people were tired. They just decided to form this group to go now and terrorize others so that they can get their land back. It was bad. People were suffering. People killed each other. People were killed. It was bad. And then the president sent in an army to come and, bring peace in that area. But even sending the army there, it brought more chaos in that area. Some army officers were even raping the women in that area. It was not a good idea. It was not a good idea to bring them. There's no way they could help them. These people, they only wanted their land back. But nothing ever happened. They were killing those terrorists one by one. They had to flee to Uganda because Mount Elgon is just close to Uganda. It's just a borderline between Kenya and Uganda. They had to flee through caves. And then the leader was called Mr. Matakwei. And even people were singing about him, that he had come to save these people in the caves, but he had to run away. I don't know if he's old now, maybe he died. We really don't know, but he ran away because the government was so hot on them. Some of them reformed, some of them died. So the Sabaot Land Defense Forces was, according to this article, they're saying it's a guerrilla movement, that operated in Mount Elgon since 2005 and resorted to violence and safeguard the rights of people displaced from the forest. The group, which drew its members from the Sabaot, was led by Wycliffe Matakwei, yes, the leader, the ringleader of that group. Matakwei led the death of more than 600 people and displaced of over 60,000 in less than 2 years. It was tough. Within 2 years, they had done enough damage. Like, the government could not take it. Actually, they were trying to put a small government into this whole government, They were like, we are taking over. Because the government that was ruling was not doing anything to save these people from living from the forest. Actually, they were living in the forest before they were taken away again from the forest to go to the caves. Now, if they take them from the caves, they don't know where they will go. So, this is what they're talking about. Okay, let's read. The government needs to resolve this issue by allocating land to genuine squatters. There should be fairness in land allocation, said Robin Kipiego, the secretary of the cave families. He disclosed that the landowner where the caves is located has issued them with a notice to vacate by December 31st, which was last year, to allow them utilize it for other purposes. So after coming from the forest, these people, they ran to these caves, but these caves, they are in someone's farm. Now this person has been allowing them to be there until just recently when he came out to tell them, like, guys, you need to move. You need to move because now I want to use my piece of land. This is not government land. Government should do something about this. So this man said that our stay in this cave will be short-lived. The owner told us to vacate by the end of the year, subjecting to us more trouble. The location assistant chief, Mr. Samuel, toured the cave on Sunday, December 11, and issued notice to the families to vacate the caves immediately. Can you imagine? This is the chief of the area who is supposed to be protecting and defending his own people. But what is he doing? He's coming to tour the caves and issuing these people notice to move. To where? And he knows very well that these people, they don't have anywhere else to go. Can you imagine, guys? This is so sad. I never knew these stories. I had to go and check them online like big time. The order, however, has been met with resistance, with the community's women threatening to strip naked in protest over frustration by the administration. That is sad, guys. He was forced to leave, the chief. He was forced to leave the cave after the families turned on him and accused him of covering up land issues in the area. He was covering up because everyone from the top is covering up. There is nothing he can do. So if he's going to represent these people, his own people, he cannot even defend them. What will they do? They can end up even hurting you. Okay? So this man went to issue notice to these people, and the women came out crying, threatening to strip naked. And even the men were, in fact, they assaulted him. These people, they assaulted their chief. Listen to this. The chief reported being assaulted by the IDPs at the police station, and 2 suspects have been summoned for interrogation. Hey, is this the Africa that we are living in? God have mercy. God really have mercy on us. So we don't know if this happened in December last year. We are in June, right? It's 6 months along the way. We really don't know what has happened after that. But we've seen Malika going to visit them in the caves. They're still there. Definitely they're still there. Because Malika was just there a few weeks ago. Malika has been visiting again and again and again. That means they're still in the caves, right? God have mercy on us. Guys, let's just try to help Malika. I personally will reach her. I've been looking for her number. I will reach her personally, and let's help her to help these people in whichever way she can. I think I've answered some of the questions that people have been asking me, and I'm so sorry that this video had to be long. I have to cut it here. Maybe we'll talk about some other things later on. Ciao, ciao.